Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to American Truck Simulator, and welcome to San Rafael, California. We're gonna go pick up. We're gonna head out to a winery and pick up some fruit. We're gonna take it to Fresno, or we're gonna take it as far as we can today. Let's see how we do. And once again, it is raining. I definitely have the rain probability turned way down. So I don't know what's up. I don't know if because of the Washington and Oregon DLC, it's always going to be raining. I don't know. Always going to be raining everywhere. Unknown. But carefully. What can you do? I mean, we could turn it off, I guess. But that's no fun. I do like the rain. I do like the weather. We slept through the night, and we got to Ukiah last episode, which is about 100 miles up the road. But I came down here because we needed to go to service and put the other skin on. We put on the second of our 3 pink ribbon skins. And I want to use these skins for the rest of October at least. Try to support the cause, support the team. So, go right down here. We got about 40 miles to go to get to this winery to pick up. And then we've got a couple 100 miles to get to Fresno. So we may be able to take this in one episode, we may not. But we'll see. Right? We're always just kind of playing it by ear when we get in the truck sim. So what is going on? It is Friday for me. It is Saturday for you. Carefully. And I have to say I had a pretty good week. I had a pretty good gaming week. I had a pretty good week in general. And yeah, we're in a lull. It's definitely a slow time of year. And I wasn't sure for a time. You know, I was kind of collecting data, but I do think we've slowed down, at least in the sims that I play, the sims that I'm into. Now, we did have a new DLC for spin tires, which is really, really good. It's called Aftermath, and I'm really enjoying that. And we also had a new paid DLC for, well, I guess Aftermath was paid DLC as well, but it wasn't very expensive. It was like a few bucks. But then there was another one of those $30 DLCs for Train Sim World 2020. Worth it, arguably. I think where I'm at with Train Sim World right now is so many of the DLCs seem to be the same 3 countries, just kind of repeating. And when you look at the total amount of DLC for the Train Simulator franchise, I believe there are 300 DLC, 300 official DLC from Dovetail. That's no joke. But looking at it, you can go in and get, there goes my voice. How do we do? Oh, 3 minutes. Hang on, I'm going to need to go down here and have a sip of coffee. I'll try to soldier on. When you look at all the DLC for the Train Simulator franchise, I think the rain stopped. Indeed it did. Fantastic. All of it, you can go through there. If you were to buy Train Simulator 19 now and look through all of that DLC, you could pick out 10 or 12 or 30 DLC that really only concentrated on your area of interest, whether that's a certain country or a certain era or Steam. I want to say there's a lot of Steam for the Train Simulator franchise. But bottom line is, you can just get the DLC you want because there's so much of it in terms of variety. And I feel like with the Train Sim World 2020, which has been out for a few years now, I feel like a lot of the DLC, it's good, but it's really, really similar. So that is, it cuts both ways, and so at the end of the day, it's maybe a wash, I don't know. You know what the cool thing is? You don't have to buy it. If you don't want it, just don't buy it. So that is, and I'm not being an ass when I say that. Like, I'm not trying to be like controversial. I don't mean it like that. I just mean that's an option we all have, is just to not buy that DLC. That is the booze train out there in the distance. I've spent some time in Napa. I really do like wine. You say you like wine, it's like, oh, you got a drinking problem? No, man, I actually like wine. And I've gone to Napa. It's sort of what you think. It's not exactly a bunch of wine connoisseurs sipping wine and talking about wine. Although there certainly is that. It's mostly a lot of people getting really, really drunk on free samples. Right. Turn signal off. Neutral. Set the brake. And let's take a look. What do we got here? Cargo market. Where is our... We're taking fruit. Why would there be fruit at a vineyard? Unknown. We're taking fruit to Fresno. All right. And I'm going to do a quick pickup depending on what this looks like. I can't even see it. There it is. That'll be easy enough to just stuff it back in there. Although there is a power pole right in the center of the yard. Not coincidentally. I see you. How do we want to do this? Do we want to go over there and then back and around, or back all the way across? I'm going to back all the way across. Is that power pole? Alright. So we'll go over here. This will give you a chance to take a look at the skin too. There it is. And in fact, where's the sun? The sun is at the wrong angle. I was going to do a little quick screenshot, but I think I'll skip it. I can do it afterwards. Right. So I'm going to back it up all the way across this parking lot. So what was I talking about before? I was talking about the booze train. DLC for Train Sim World. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to buy it. You can just wait for Steam or wait for Brazil or Japan or TGV or whatever it is that you're personally waiting for. You can just wait. But I'm like a goofball. I'm buying all the DLC. All of it. But it's good. I like it. So that is new. I'm trying to think what else. There was something else as far as Sim. There's been a new update for... Did I miss it? Of course I did. Of course I did. Always got to be 2 swings. This guy. Always 2 swings. New update for... A new patch for... Trust me, I know almost exactly what I'm doing. No, I really don't. New patch for F1 2019. We're up to 1.12, I believe. And they continue to balance the AI and balance the... I guess, it's the balance the power. It is the balance of power as far as what teams are doing what in real life during the season. And I don't know where I'm at with that. Set the brake. Lights are off. Engine is off. Let's load up. And what time is it? It looks like it's going to be about 3:30. Okay. Cargo's been loaded. Engine on. Let's hop in here. Brake is off. Put her in gear. Here we go. So yeah, because the F1 franchise is based on a real season that's really happening, I feel like the developers, sort of at the behest of the community, of the fans and players, I feel like they are constantly trying to make the teams in the sim representative of the teams in real life and where they sort of shake out in terms of the quality of their car, the quality of their engineering, etc. But there's a couple problems with that. One problem is there's a development tree within the sim, and your winning points, your winning races, or trying to, and you're using your development points to improve your car in specific areas where it may be deficient or not as powerful as another team, and also, I guess, to suit your driving style. And then you can even time those developments to work in with where the calendar is headed. Right, so if you're coming up on Montreal or Grand Prix of France, which is back at Paul Ricard now, which has that massive back straight, then you might want to go with aerodynamics, right? If you're getting ready to go to Monaco, you might want to focus on handling and less on power or whatever. So you can really use those development points to tailor the growth and evolution of your car to your driving style and also just to your personal taste. Whatever. Well, the other teams, even though they're AI, NPC, they are developing their car as well. And they may be developing their car in a different direction than that real team is in real life. So I don't know that trying to bring the real developments, I'm saying that word too many times, the real events, I guess, of the real season, trying to bring that into the sim in real time, I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea, because it's never going to be exactly what's going on in the real world. And then on top of that, you're trying to compete with things that are happening a certain way in the sim, and then periodically they just change. Now, not radically. The developers don't, it's not like Williams is suddenly a powerhouse and you got to contend with them. They don't do anything radically like that. But I don't know. I feel like it should maybe be a little bit more static, throughout the season. Or it should be fully, and there's no way to do this, but it should be fully mirror. Fully mirror. It should completely duplicate what's going on in the real world, but it can't. It can't, for the simple reason that you can't take the results of a real Grand Prix and then overlay it in any way. I mean, you could just shoehorn it in there and make it completely fake, and this is the order that the cars finish in, but that doesn't work, because what if you took one of those cars out? What happens to them? And it just wouldn't work. And also you couldn't feed that information into the game until after that race. What if somebody's playing a season faster and that race has already occurred? It can't work. It can't happen. It's impossible. Impossible, I say. But I think that would be kind of an alternative route as well, where you're actually racing in the real results of the 2019 season. I mean, maybe it could get there, maybe, but you would need, I don't know, some kind of deep machine learning. Every developer claims that their AI is machine learning. None of them are. I heard this from a computer scientist. That's all just some marketing talk. There's no machine learning, not at this level. Right, so that is F1. Assetto Corsa Competizione seems to have hit some type of stasis. I feel like, because we're at patch 1.10, and I feel like it took a few months, but they got the game to where, in my opinion, it should have been on day one. And something that's it's on my mind a lot. This idea that in 2019 now, a developer can release a game that is broken, not done yet, right? Beta at best. They can release it as full retail and just say, we'll fix it later. We'll fix it later. And I really don't like that. I think it makes developers not necessarily complacent, not necessarily lazy, but I think it does give developers a gigantic parachute. You know what I mean? They have an out. They have a way to fix anything, as long as they can keep you on the hook, keep you playing the game long enough to still be around when they fix it. But I look at other games and I think this system that's in place right now, what's great about it is developers can evolve a game that's already been released based on fan feedback. Now, artistically, I don't know where I'm at with that, because that's imagine if somebody made a movie. They made a movie, they released it, you go to see it, right? You don't like it, you don't care for it, and a friend of yours goes to see it a couple weeks later and they like it. You say, yeah, but what about that ending? They say, oh, it was great, that this happened. You say, nah, that's not what happened, this happened. There's two different endings. Well, the reason there's two different endings is because the director got some fan feedback and just he patched his movie, or she. They patched their movie, right? They put a patch on it. We were getting some negative feedback, so we put a patch on it. It's completely different now. You can do that in gaming. And artistically, I'm sort of not okay with that. But practically, I'm very okay with that. That's awesome. And so if we took away this idea that you can change or fix a game or a sim after it's been released because it's broken, we would also take away the ability to improve a game based on fan feedback. And I think that's a very powerful tool that developers have. Even if your game is great on day one, it's not broken, it doesn't have bugs, it's not deeply flawed, you can still improve it. There's always room for improvement. And some of the fine tuning and balancing and things like the AI in a racing sim, that's a very, very subtle kind of thing. I know, like, the AI in Dirt Rally 2.0 is impossible. And the way that they've set it up, they want it to be. The developers want it to be. Codemasters, hang on. In Dirt Rally, hang on. In Dirt Rally, I did not get to, I can't remember what the highest level is. I think it's Elite or Masters. I got to the second highest level. And if you're not familiar with the way Dirt Rally works, there's no real difficulty per se. Let me get up this hill here. The better you finish a rally, an entire rally, not just a season, I guess is a better way to say it. The better you finish a season, the harder the AI is for the next season that you do. And eventually you will find kind of a balance. You'll find kind of a home as far as how good you are or what the AI is going to be set at. But there's no real adjustability. If you do well, the AI gets harder. If you don't do well enough times, you get relegated. You get bumped down. And as I said, eventually you do find kind of a home, right? An approximate match for your driving skill. They just cranked that up for Dirt Rally 2.0. And they have no plans to adjust it. So whereas I was near the top of the ladder in Dirt Rally, I'm near the bottom of the ladder in Dirt Rally 2.0. But the thing is, it's still just driving and rallying. I drive as well as I can, and I finish, middle of the pack. And that's just how it's going to be until either I get better or they adjust it. They have no plans to adjust it, so that's it. We're done. It's just going to be that way. But it's good, and they can adjust that if they want to or if they need to based on fan feedback. So the fan feedback is, this is too damn hard, and the response is, well, that's how we want it to be. But it could just as easily be, this is too damn hard, and they say, okay, we're going to take it down 1% or 0.5% or whatever. And you see what I mean? It allows them, there's nothing wrong with it per se, it's just very, very difficult, and it allows them, if they chose to make that adjustment. So as much as I say it's, developers have it too easy, that they can just cob together a game, release it half done, no worries, we'll patch it later. That mechanism of patching is not just used for evil, it can also be used for good. And the good that it can be used for is continuing to improve a game that's already not bad. Slowing. All right. So that is that. That's still no word on Road to the Black Sea and Utah. I believe they're both coming in November. I have no information on that. That's just my bet, my guess. There's been no date attached to either one in the Steam store as far as a release date, but I want to say November. I want to say for the holiday season. I think. So we'll see what's going on there. That will probably bring in the 1.36 patch, and we'll have another round of, as we always do, broken mods and that sort of thing. But that comes with the territory. In Farm Sim, concentrating. And this sort of ties in Farm Sim, I've got a German map going, and I would really like to get a UK map going, but as I've been looking, there really aren't that many new UK maps. There really aren't that many maps for Farm Sim in general. There's a lot less for 19 than there were for 17. And as we're getting ready for Platinum, I believe there is going to be a new map. I know there's going to be the Colossus DLC. Is there going to be a new map? I'll have to look when I get done with this video. But I realized there are not... that Giants really... They don't focus a lot on the maps. Because for 19 we had Felsbrunn and Ravenport with base game. They were both pretty awful. And I feel like... I'm not even joking when I say this. I feel like Giants looks at it like, you know what? We just need to get this thing out of the gate, and then the modders will take it from there. So I feel like those two base game maps, the only reason they're there is so you can play it on day one, because there has to be some kind of starting point. But I really feel like Giants does not put any effort at all into their maps, because they know the modders will pick up the difference. And I guess for 19, the modders sort of didn't. You know, there's so much less mod content for 19 than there was for 17. And I really believe that. I really do. I know there's plenty. There's a lot. But I mean, by percentage, there's less. Less is less, and there is definitely less. And so that's I guess a risk you take as a developer when you're going to count on the community to finish your game for you. You know, they're not on the hook to do that. It's not like you got them on contract. You haven't paid them. And so if they decide not to do that, there's really nothing you can do. You just have sort of an unfinished game. I wouldn't say half done. It's much more than half done. And there is mod content. There's just not as much. And when it comes to looking for maps, I mean, I've heard people say that UK modders and UK players have begun to sort of fall away from Farm Sim as it's become more continental European farm simulator. And I sort of see that. And I sort of get that. I think it is definitely a very Eurocentric game. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, in terms of like American farming, I don't think they have a big American market. And so I don't think they're particularly worried about having a lot of American content in the game. There's a little bit, a little tiny bit. But it's almost the level of detail and the level of authenticity for the European stuff versus the American stuff kind of makes me think that the American stuff that is included in Farm Sim is included as almost sort of a concept of what Europeans who want to play with American farm equipment would expect. That makes sense. In the same way that some of the American maps, with the exception of one, Lone Oak, other than that, the majority of the American maps that I've seen for Farm Sim do not look anything like any American farm that I've ever been near. Not even close. So I feel like the equipment is the same way. The American equipment in Farm Sim is like, it's just kind of throw it in there. Hey, wouldn't it be cool to have a big American tractor trailer rig? Sure. But it's not, it doesn't have the same attention to detail and level of love that the European equipment has. So I do feel like Farm Sim is continuing to sort of morph into European Farm Simulator. And that's cool. That's totally cool. Giants can run their business any way they want. But I think they're beginning to lose the UK sim crowd as far as modders and players. And I think if you're looking for a good UK map, it's getting harder and harder to find one. So we'll see where it all goes. There were some, I guess, more prolific UK modders. There seem to be less now. So we'll see what happens with the Platinum DLC that comes out in about a week. And yeah, there's a map. Isn't there? Oh, now I'm not even sure. I could look it up on my phone, but I hate to text and drive. And I also just realized, well, I don't know. We'll get to that next episode. So, F1. Dirt Rally, Farm Sim, Truck Sim, other Truck Sim. What else? Oh, there's a Flight Sim. The Flight Sim, the original Flight Sim, Microsoft Flight Simulator, is in alpha, pre-alpha, and it sounds like it's got 2 petabytes. Man, that's a lot of bytes. It's got 2 petabytes of scenery, and it's going to be cloud-based rather than trying to fit all that on a hard drive. Now I imagine that there will be some limited content and textures on your local, so maybe your favorite airports, or you can download whatever you want, and the rest is going to be on the cloud, and then as you fly it will load tiles. So it's going to be a cloud-based game. I'm really curious to see what it looks like. The screenshots and video that I've seen of the pre-alpha, it is absolutely amazing, and I don't know what, because there's FSX for Steam. Yeah, Flight Sim has kind of a long and storied past. It was originally Microsoft developed it, and then they licensed it to somebody else, and then as it fell out of favor, it got sold, and then it was sort of public domain. The community maintained it, and then Steam bought it. I don't know. I know you can get an iteration of Microsoft Flight Simulator on Steam. I believe it's FSX for Steam or FS for Steam. So I don't know where this new one is going to come out. I don't know if it's going to replace that or be a sequel to that, or I don't know. But I think it is going to be absolutely devastating to sims like FSX and X-Plane and some others, because it's going to be such deep pockets. Microsoft, they got bank, and because it's going to have that incredibly detailed scenery. What was the other thing that I saw? It's scanned down to 3 centimeters. What? That is an absolutely insane level of detail, and I think it's forward looking, in that as technology evolves over the next few years, graphics cards and monitors and 4K and 8K and 120 FPS and some of those other things, this sim will already have the backbone as far as LOD to handle that new technology. So I think this new Microsoft Flight Sim is just going to put a whooping on everybody. But we'll see. Because it could be, I mean, there are sims that I have that, as much as I like them, I do have to recognize and admit that they are, in their own way, almost too realistic and too hard. And I'm curious if FSX is, I keep saying FSX, I'm curious if Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, or whatever it is, I'm curious if that is going to be so good and so big and so comprehensive that it scares off the casual market and it ends up being a professional training tool for pilots. As long as we don't have a detour here, because I think we're just getting into Fresno right now, and we're just coming up on 30 minutes. So yeah, I think this is all going to work out. Yeah. This Fresno is not too far from Stockton, and we went through Stockton a while ago. Right, so that is that. I don't think my machine can play it. I don't have a good, I have a flight stick, but I don't know that I have a flight stick good enough to play a sim like that. And I don't think my machine could run it. Although my machine surprises me consistently by playing things that it should not be able to play, and rendering things on high with a couple of ultras that it really shouldn't be able to. My wee lappy with my little economy 1050 card, it continually surprises me. You know, I was in that motorcycle game for a long time. I actually sold motorcycles. I worked at a Ducati dealer. Ducati, Aprilia, Bimota. And we have people come in looking to buy their first motorcycle. And they'd say, what do I want? And I'd say, I don't know. What do you want? You want a touring bike? You want a sport bike? You want a super sport? Where are you looking to ride? How do you want to ride? And they'd say, I don't know. And you don't want to sell them a $20,000 starter bike, you know, and then see where they land on this whole motorcycle stuff. But you sort of had to, because I don't want to sell them a $40,000 motorcycle and they don't even know what they want yet. So sometimes you need to know what you know. You need to know what you don't know. You just need to know. And I feel like getting back into gaming and getting this first gaming laptop, I think if I had gone the Alienware, you know, $5,000 custom route, I don't think I would have been disappointed, but I think I would have always been curious. Did I need all this? Should I have bought all this? Was this a smart choice? And I think going the route that I did, which was kind of dipping a toe at the lower end, and then spending that's now been a year and a half learning about the technology, learning about, you know, the different requirements of different kinds of gaming, and also just being patient now as we're getting into RTX cards and ray tracing and subsurface scattering and all this cool stuff that's happening. By waiting, I do think I kind of struck a nice balance, because I've certainly spent the past year and a half getting a much better idea of what I want my next gaming rig to be. Very specific idea. So it's all worked out, but in the meantime, like I said, my little 1050 card does just fine. All right, so we'll go through here carefully. Find a good gear here. I believe we can make a right turn on red in California. Oh, but there's a cop. I'll wait. We're about to get the green light anyway. Maybe. Got to cycle through a couple turning arrows. There we go. There we go. Beautiful. I think we're making an immediate right into Walmart. And then heading around back. Alrighty. Thank you, route guidance. And I'm just going to do a quick delivery because we're at 33 minutes. Also going to turn my turn signal off. Yeah. We'll just do a quick delivery, and man, I hope we weren't late. We did hustle down here. We didn't sleep at all. Let's see how we did. Better not be late. Better not be. Right. Set the brake. How'd we do? All right, we weren't late. Fantastic. So we made some money, and we're making our way down to LA, and then we're going to head east and get into Arizona and wait for that Utah DLC. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of American Truck Simulator. We'll see you next time. Take care now.